I'll call this regular council meeting of September 11th to order. Under presentations, we have none this evening. Could I have a motion, please, to adopt the agenda as presented? Councillor Yanish, seconded. Councillor Hoffert, any questions or comments? If not, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. It's a privilege this evening to introduce Fitz Bramble, our new Economic Development Coordinator. And perhaps Fitz, if we could, we'll have you sit up in front of this mic and press that button on. And we're very happy that you were able to come to Estevan and do this job for us. And you're more than welcome to say a few words of introduction, if you like.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to the council members for inviting me here today and having me here to give a brief introduction of myself. As you pointed out, my name is Fitz Bramble, coming here from Regina, but I'm originally from a very small island in the Caribbean called St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So if you haven't been there as yet, make sure you put that on your bucket list. I'm very privileged and pleased to be here as the new Economic Development Coordinator for the City of Estevan. When I applied for this position, I had a particular interest because Estevan has very many similar characteristics to my country, which is a very, very small country with many small communities and small villages. So I was quite excited about the potential opportunity, and I was even more excited when I was presented with the opportunity to be here. I've only been here a week, but I'm already falling in love with the city. I've been getting out and about and trying to integrate, and I really look forward to this opportunity of contributing to the development of Estevan in my capacity as Economic Development Coordinator. I came here from Regina, like I said. I was a lecturer in economics at the University of Regina. And prior to that, I was an economist in my own country. I was a deputy ambassador of my country to the United States, and I was also a country representative in South America for the Organization of American States. So I was fortunate and blessed to have, the experience that I think would help me to perform well in this position. And I look forward to working for you and with you, and hopefully I'll get the support that I need. And I look forward to a successful time here in Estevan. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Fitz. And again, a very warm welcome, and we know that you'll do a fantastic job for us. Thank you. Okay, moving forward, could I have a motion, please, for the minutes of the council meeting held on August 28th, 2017? Councillor Broba, seconded. Should I say Councillor Trevor or Councillor Nibs? Councillor Nibs, okay. Any further questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, under original communications, delegations, and petitions, we have the Southeast Transportation Planning Committee minutes of August 22nd. Could we get a motion for that, please? Councillor Yanish, thank you. Seconded, Councillor Frank. Any further questions or comments? Councillor Moore, would you like to give any highlights?
Thank you, Worship. At the moment, we're just concentrating on the issues that concern us in this part of the province. And as I've suggested a few times, we're not a lobby group, we're just an information group. And so we keep in touch with the ministry on the issues that we're concerned about. And so far, we've got some good ears listening to our concerns. And I think by the time the economy turns around, we will see more work being done that's being done now. So I guess we're pretty satisfied with what's happening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Moore. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, under original communications, delegations, and petitions, we have from Reagan's Disposal Limited, the cart report for August 2017. Could we have a motion, please, for that? Councillor Nibs, seconded by Councillor Vroba. Any further questions or comments? If not, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, under original communications, delegations, and petitions, we have from the Estevan Bruins a request for a tailgate party, September 29th, for the community events permit. What's the wish of council on this? Councillor Nibs, please.
I've heard a little bit about this. I'd like to move for acceptance and approval.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Nibs. Have we got a seconder? Councillor Yanish? Okay, any further questions or comments? I think it's pretty straightforward. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, under written reports of committees, we have from the Estevan Exhibition Association the minutes of July 12th, 2017. Could we have a motion for those, please? Councillor Moore, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Nibs. Councillor Vroba, did you have anything to add?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just that the Estevan Exhibition Association had their draw for their 50-50, and I believe it was won by Mr. Chris Reitz and the rodeo, and I heard it was a success. I unfortunately couldn't attend, but I plan to be at the next one for sure. Maybe I might even enter it.
Okay, awesome. That is great. So if there's no further questions, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, under written reports of, or executive reports, I'm sorry, we've got coming from the city controller, the capitalization policy. She is not here this evening, but I'll turn it over to our city manager for a brief explanation. Jeff, if you would.
Thank you, Your Worship. Out of our audit presentation, it was just noted that we should formalize a capitalization policy of what should be expensed and what should be capitalized under a policy there. So it was determined that $5,000 would be an appropriate amount for us. We're not a taxable entity, so we don't follow CCA allowance rules like a private company would. So I think this is a fairly standard practice at $5,000 for a municipality.
Okay, thank you, City Manager. Any questions from members of council? Councillor Hoffer?
I think it's a good report, sound judgment, and makes good sense to me, so I'd be prepared to move that we move this policy for the $5,000 on the capitalization policy.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hoffer. Have we got a seconder? Councillor Nibs? Any further questions? If not, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, under executive reports, again from the City Controller, we have the amortization recommendations for budget. And again, with Trudy not being here, I'll turn it over to the City Manager, if he would, for explanation.
Thank you, Worship. So every year through our budget process, we concern ourselves more with the cash costs. For the audit purposes, they obviously have to record an amortization number. This always creates a fairly large variance between budget to actuals because we didn't actually put in a number for amortization. So looking at the numbers from last year, I think this is a great starting point to put in a budget figure for amortization so that our financial comparables are a little more budget to actual.
In line?
Correct.
Okay.
So we approved the budget during budget. With all that, so we just need to amend the budget approval to include these amortization amounts. We can get it into our accounting system for the audit report.
Okay, thank you. Could we have a motion for that, please? Thank you. Councillor Moore, second it. Councillor Yanish, any further questions? Councillor Hoffer?
Thank you, Your Worship, to the City Manager. Is there a specific number of years that we amortize these items over, whether it's the land or the linear assets or the equipment, or does it vary for each, or is there a standard number?
To Council Offer, it does vary per each. They're in our audited financial statement notes. Some are 20 years, some are 10 years, equipment's 30 years. So I can get those detailed breakdowns out of the notes for you as well for the next meeting.
Okay, thank you, City Manager. Thank you, Councillor Hoffer. All in favor? Good, thank you. Okay, moving on, we've got the land development building permit report for August 2017. Could we have a motion, please, to accept that report as presented? Councillor Vroba, thank you. Councillor Nibs, seconded. Any further questions? All in favor? Thank you. Everyone's in favor, City Clerk. Next, under executive reports, we've got from Land Development, we've got the West Valley Edge Condo Corp. easement LDR 20-2017. The city has received a request to register a right-of-way on the above-noted property. The proposed right-of-way would allow the West Valley Village development to connect with the city's water and sanitary system. As part of the development agreement with West Valley Village, the city agreed to register a right-of-way to connect the development to the city services. Once the connection is complete, the developer will pay off-site development levies whenever they connect a new unit to the city services, $7,379 per unit. The developer is responsible for the design, cost, and installation of the water and sanitary lines. It's a recommendation of Land Development Services to approve the right-of-way application. So what's the wish of council? Councillor Nibs?
I just had one question with the amount there, the 73.79. That's as of today, but what if it's 10 years from now and the cost is 14,000 or 15,000? You know, like what if it changes? Do we always have to honor the 73.79 even though it may cost us more at that time?
Yeah, I guess it's based on probably some of the costs and that he's incurred. City Manager, would you like to expound on that? Or I guess Adam's here. Adam, would you like to expound on that, please?
Okay, so that amount is from our development agreement with the developer at the time that we allowed them to, when we annexed that piece of property and allowed them to start the development. So that is based on our cost estimates to install the necessary water and sanitary utilities on our end, as well as other projects such as paving of Alice Road. So that amount should not change, assuming that they don't need any additional capacity.
Okay, Councillor Nibs, you go ahead.
And I agree with that, but it says any additional in the future, right? So that could mean 10 years, 20 years down the road, could it not? Like just interpreting, and I don't want to have a problem in the future.
No problem.
I guess just to clarify with this development that there was units already on the property at the time connected to city utilities, so those were not connected. Those additional units are for any new trailers or homes that they build on the property. So currently there is about 45 bare land units that don't have any development on them. So if the developer constructs anything on them, that's when he will pay that connection or that offsite development levy.
Again, it's still not answering my question though, of what if our costs change 10 years from now, do we have to honor this price? Is my question. Sorry, I'm missing something here.
Yes, we do need to honor it. We did enter into a binding agreement with them. So that sets out all our offsite development levy rates, as well as anything that the developer needs to, such as in this case, they are now responsible for the cost and installation of this water line up to our system, and then our offsite development levies are to pay for anything on our end that we need.
So yeah, usually if I could, Councillor Nibs, it's the costs and the expenses that are incurred at that time of development when all of these water lines, the sewer lines, and everything's put into place. Correct, Adam? Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
100% on that, but we don't know the cost because there's 45 bare land units, and we don't know the cost, and we don't know when he's going to develop it. So if that's 10 years, 20 years, and this is a condo development, they're going to come back and say, okay, but our cost maybe at that time 17,000 a unit, or
Okay.
right? Is my only concern that we're not protected
I
in the
understand.
future.
Thank you, Councillor Nibs, but is this not, are we not talking about putting the water and sewer in at this time? Not down the road, right?
Yes, this is, they do have it phased in the agreement, so this will be something that they're going to be actively pursuing over the next couple of years. I do believe in the agreement that they do have 10 years to actually complete the development, but I would need to double check to confirm the date that they need to complete by.
Yeah, and this is pretty standard boilerplate with all of our developers at the time when we put in water and sewer, correct?
Correct. We do have an offsite development levy which establishes our rates across the city. Just in this case, we broke it down at a per unit cost for them so that they could sell it one unit at a time rather than being pressured to put on all 45 in the in one go.
Okay. Is that all you had, Councillor Nips? Yeah.
I'm satisfied, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Hofford, do you have a question?
Yeah, just a little bit further to that, Your Worship, to the development planner. Are you saying that this is a standard rate that applies the same rate across the city? You're just breaking it down by unit for this particular developer? My question was, how does this rate compare to developments that occur in other areas of the city? And is that my understanding? Is that what you're saying? It's identical to other areas of the city, only for the purpose of this developer, because he wants to add it to the price of lot sales, we broke it down by the unit?
Correct. We have a standard water and sanitary rate across the city. So it's usually for the scale of development, it's usually at a per acre basis. And that's covered in the development agreement. The only thing that's actually happening here is there is a clause for him to pay it in installments rather than as a lump sum.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hofford. Thank you, Adam. And I think that was the same principle we used with Essex, was it not? They paid as they developed extra on the levy fees. Okay. Thank you. So do we have a motion then to move forward? And okay, Councillor Nibbs, seconder. Councillor Yanish, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, under executive reports, we have from Land Development, the annexation notice of intent. Adam, would you like to perhaps give a brief explanation with that for council, and then we'll answer any questions and then get to motion?
Sure. So a quick background. The city has been in negotiation with the arm of Estevan since about 2014. We brought forward the issue that we needed additional land to grow due to the amount of growth that we've experienced over the past decade, as well as the construction of the highway bypass, which now changes how we're looking at that land just north and east of the city, as well as other potential developments that may occur in those areas. So there was initial proposal to the RM, and it went back and forth for quite a bit, which eventually did get parsed down to what we're now moving. So the proposal is for a 30-year, to create a 30-year growth reserve for residential and industrial land, and we're annexing about 6.5 quarters from the RM. However, negotiations with the RM have broken off. The RM has made a resolution in open council to stop any negotiations regarding annexation. So following the standard boundary alteration process from the province of Saskatchewan, we are now, the resolution would be to give our notice of intent to annex the lands. There will be a 30-day period where either the RM or any affected landowner may submit an objection to the city. If by, I believe it's October 23rd, at the October 23rd council meeting, if we have received an objection, we will enter into mediation with the party. And should mediation fail, we will then need to make an application to the Saskatchewan Municipal Board to schedule a hearing and review our application. And so that's kind of where things are sitting at now. Moving forward, there will be a public open house just to help spread some more information about the annexation, as well as educate the public on why we need this land and what we will be using it for.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Have we got any further questions? Councillor Hofford, please.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Adam, for this report. It's a great report. I would like to suggest we consider a slight amendment to this report. We've been at this, as you've said, for a number of years and gone back and forth. And I want to say approximately a year ago, after meetings with the RM and based on their feedback to our initial request, we developed a proposal at council for 5.5 quarters, believing that that would be the necessary amount for projected growth at the time, and also be the necessary amount for us to move forward with this agreement. And obviously, things changed, and things have changed, and the RM has withdrawn from the negotiations, it would seem. Having said that, I would like to ask council to honor our latest proposal, the last one we gave to them prior to the issue coming off the rails a little bit. So when it does go to the public, if it does go to mediation, if we fail at the previous level, that we are sticking by our initial recommendation, which is what the previous council had considered to be appropriate in terms of the amount of land required and the amount of and the amount necessary to get the RM to approve this. Since our last meeting, we have reduced upon this discussion the northern portion to the 4 quarters that we had in the initial document, and I would just like the eastern portion to be considered for the same reduction. So basically, it'd be the similar document, other than we would remove the east half of the northeast and the east half of the southeast of section 25 from this. So we'd essentially be moving the equivalent of approximately 160 acres from this to be back down to the initial 5.5 acres. And so I guess that would be my request of council. Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay, Adam, could you respond, please?
Just to speak briefly on what we are actually required to do is we are required to annex the parcel in whole. And because those eastern quarters are not subdivided at the moment, we need to apply to take the entire parcel. I know in previous agreements we had marked only half of that land as needed. However, those are full parcels, and within the Cities Act, we're not allowed to take a portion of a parcel.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you for that. That is certainly new information that we didn't have when we last visited this. And if that is the case, then I guess we certainly aren't straying from our initial proposal that greatly. In fact, if we want any of the quarter, if you're saying we want any of it, we need to have all of it. So I guess I'll accept that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Councillor Vroba?
Thank you, Your Worship. Adam, I just had a question regarding the portion that says the population with the low growth and the normal growth versus the high growth scenario. And I just wondered why we have 11,400 population, but on the low growth and all of these are different. So in 2017 on the low growth, it states the population will be 14,005. So I just wondered why we didn't actually have the exact numbers in there.
Okay, so the attached document is our original gross projections that we brought to the RM in 2014. So that was based off our projections from then. So the 2016 and the 2017 numbers aren't actuals. Those are what we estimated at the time and what we originally brought to the RM for negotiations.
So could we change them to show the actuals now? Because that may make a decision whether or not we actually need to go with the 5.5 quarters, 6 quarters, or 4 quarters, right?
Maybe just to clarify that these like the actual population is more to highlight the trends from either the 1.2%, the 2.4%, and the 3%. It would not actually change. Updating the number wouldn't change what we're projecting for the next as our average annual growth rate, which we are still going with 2.4%.
Yeah, you also have to think we're looking 30-year window, Councillor Vroba, down the road. And the other issue, if you want the real numbers, we go with the medical, which is closer to 14,000. So if you want to talk numbers skewed, we already have that, depending which one you look at. Councillor Hoffer?
Yeah, Your Worship, I think the question or the point that Councillor Vroba was making, which I support, is when we initially did this, we didn't have those numbers, and now we do. So why wouldn't we plug them in there? It just speaks to credibility and removes one question when this comes to the table. Why do you have the wrong numbers? So I think it's a very valid point. Let's put the numbers that we have, that we know we have, let's plug them in. What could it hurt?
Okay. So do we have a motion then to move forward with our annexation? Thank you. Councillor Nibbs, have we got a seconder? Councillor Hoffer, any further questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, from Land Development, my goodness, you're busy tonight, Adam. We've got the consolidation 1883 and 1885 Tedford Way, LDR 19-2017. The city has received a subdivision application to consolidate the two lots noted above. Currently, Lot 12 is developed as a single detached house, while Lot 11 is vacant. And you'll see your picture in your program. The owner wishes to consolidate the titles to reduce paperwork and allow for future development on the property without crossing property lines. So the proposal will not have any impact on the surrounding properties, nor will it affect the city services. It is the recommendation of the Land Development Department to approve the subdivision application. What's the wish of council this evening? Councillor Yanish.
I'll make that motion that we proceed with the recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Have we got a seconder? Councillor Moore. Okay, further questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Next, under introduction of bylaws this evening, we have none. Under public hearings and reports, we have none. Giving notice, nothing this evening. Motions from committee, none this evening. Consideration of bylaws, none. Inquiries, Councillor Hoffer.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think I've had enough inquiries for the night. I just want to make a couple of points. We have a very exciting weekend coming up with the Living Skies Air Show out at the Estevan Regional Airport. Sunday at 11 o'clock a.m. the gates open. There's a lot of static displays and things to do. You want to get to the site early. You want to be on site because to get the full impact of the show, you're going to have to be up close where the act is following. It's not a expansive act that's going to fly for 5 miles like snowbirds. These things are going to be powerful. They're going to be loud. They're going to be low to the ground and exciting, but you need to be in the airport to get the full excitement of them. So we're encouraging people to avoid the lineups and avoid disappointment by getting out to the airport early. Bring your lawn chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hoffer. Councillor Vroba.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have none this evening.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Yanish.
Thank you, Worship. I do have one thing to bring up. I was visiting with a couple of gentlemen that weren't from our city but have been here before and want to commend our city staff, Jeff and your staff, on a job well done and how nice our city's coming about and looking good. So they just wanted to commend us on that.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Councillor Yanish. I'm sure City Manager will make sure that's passed down. Thank you. Councillor Frank? Okay, thank you. Councillor Nibbs?
And then, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Moore?
Thank you, Your Worship. I have none this evening. Thank you.
Okay, you're a quiet bunch this evening. Thank you. Okay, City Manager?
Nothing to add, Your Worship.
Okay, City Clerk?
Nothing, Your Worship.
Okay, anything from our Chamber of Commerce lady this evening?
We do have showcase coming up.
Thank you.
September 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. So that's filling up quick, and we encourage everyone to come out and see all the exhibitors.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And all I had was, on top of agreeing with everyone that said to date, is the free weekend at the landfill is coming up, September 29th to October 1st. And of course, the air show, which will be absolutely fantastic. What's that, Councillor Brooke?
Oh, I said I'm looking forward to that weekend.
Oh, okay. You've got lots piled up? Okay. So other than that, I guess, if no one else has anything else, could we have a motion to adjourn and go into committee, please? Thank you, Councillor Yanish. Seconded, Councillor Hoffert. All in favor? Carried. We stand adjourned. Thank you and good evening.